The Hayes Medical Center International Hospital is brightly lit. The hallway is carpeted in red. The walls are made of transparent glass, and each footstep echoes with the cold resonance of power and wealth. But right now, behind the door of operating room number 7, a crisis is erupting. On the operating table, a white-skinned young woman of only 19 years old, the only daughter of the billionaire Charlotte Hayes, is suffering acute heart failure. The monitors are flashing continuously, the alarms sounding urgently as though counting down each life-saving second. All of the most renowned doctors, people hailed as the top minds in America, have tried every method. But her heart continues to fail. No one can find the cause. No one understands why such a young heart is stopping right in their hands. As the surgical team descends into chaos, the door bursts open. A black nurse in plain blue scrubs enters. His name is David Miller, 34 years old. He was only called in to assist with equipment, to check the oxygen supply, tasks that no one in the operating room deems important. One doctor sneers, "Nurses in here too. This is an operating room, not a plumbing shop." The group erupts in laughter and then resumes the surgery. To them, David is only a shadow, a subordinate worker, nothing more. But the audience immediately senses the irony. Inside this luxurious room filled with powerful people, this million-dollar life depends on the presence of a man whom the system dismisses. And that unexpected touch will shake everything. David Miller is not an ordinary nurse. 7 years ago, he was considered a rising star in the cardiology residency program. His research on predicting acute heart failure made waves throughout the academic community. A prestigious medical journal even commented, if he continues, Miller could completely transform the world of cardiology. But that future was cut short in a single night. In one research project, David discovered a mechanism for regulating artificial heart pacing using an algorithm. A groundbreaking advance. He submitted his report to the board, but only weeks later, that work appeared under the name of another person, Dr. William Carter, a powerful white doctor, who had been his mentor. Not only did Carter steal the invention, he also concocted a filthy scheme, accusing David of incompetence and data fraud. Those false allegations were enough to expel him from the residency program. The door to his career slammed shut. From the position of a future doctor, David had to abandon his dreams and settle into being a nurse. He needed money to support his elderly mother, who once worked as a cleaner in this very hospital, and to care for his younger brother, who was attending university. To his colleagues, he was just a blue scrub worker, the person who hands over instrument boxes, wipes away blood, never allowed to be called doctor. And William Carter, after stealing the credit, he quickly advanced up the ranks. Now Carter is the chief medical officer of Hayes Hospital, a symbol of power, presiding over the very operation on the daughter of billionaire Charlotte Hayes. The moment David stepped into the operating room, his humiliating past flooded back. He stood there, under the scornful glances of his colleagues. Known any action could turn him into a laughing stock. But life has strange turning points, and this very operation will become the opportunity for truth to be revealed. In the cold white room, the monitor machines pound with rapid beeps as though beating out a countdown to death. Sweat rolls down the foreheads of the doctors, yet their eyes remain lost. One by one, resuscitation methods are attempted and fail. The heartbeat of the young woman lying on the table flickers like a candle about to be extinguished. William Carter, wearing a pristine white coat, grits his teeth and orders, "Deliver another shock to the heart. Increase the adrenaline dose." But nothing improves. A young doctor, trembling, shakes her head. Her heart is rejecting every response. At that moment, David, the one dismissed from the start, quietly studies the artificial pacemaker's control panel. His eyes light up as he notices an abnormal signal that no one else did. A waveform pulsing in a way he had seen 7 years ago. When he was researching this pacing mechanism, he takes a deep breath and says softly, "The problem is not the heart, it's in the pacemaker's settings. We need to change the configuration procedure." The room spins as laughter erupts, but doctor sneers with contempt. "You think this is a teaching hospital simulation? Sit down, nurse." But before Carter can brush him off, The voice of the billionaire Charlotte Hayes rings out from behind the observation glass. Her face is pale with worry for her daughter, but her eyes blaze with determination. Let him try. The air freezes. All eyes sharpen on David. He approaches the control panel with steadiness that seems unusual. With only a few precise adjustments, he changes the pacemaker's startup sequence, exactly as he had designed it in the lab many years before. 1, 2, 3 seconds pass. The monitor emits a steady heartbeat. The waveform returns calm and regular. The operating room falls silent, disbelief echoing in every breath. The young woman's heart has recovered. David releases the controls and steps back. He does not boast. In his eyes burns only faith. Truth has finally begun to take its rightful place. What no one knows is that the procedure he used was originally his, but the patent today is held in the name of William Carter. Right after the successful surgery, the air at Hayes Hospital was still buzzing with shock. People whispered about the unknown black nurse who saved the billionaire's daughter in the final minutes. And it was Charlotte Hayes herself, the mother who had just come terrifyingly close to losing her child, who wanted to find out more. In her large office with marble flooring, she looked directly at David. Her voice was low but carried undeniable weight. "Who are you, and why do you understand that system better than the doctor who supposedly built it?" David remained silent, but that silence only deepened her suspicion. Charlotte began digging through the records herself, and then she froze when she discovered, in the scientific reports about the artificial heart pacing mechanism from 7 years ago, the reports now credited entirely to William Carter, there was a tiny set of initials at the bottom corner of the page, DM. "David Miller," she whispered. When confronted by Charlotte, David finally admitted it. He was the one who had developed the algorithmic foundation for predicting acute heart failure. The very foundation that Hayes Hospital now proudly used. But Carter had stolen the work, smeared his name, and pushed him out of the program. Charlotte could not believe her ears. She secretly hired her own team of lawyers to investigate. Within just a few days, a mountain of evidence surfaced: internal emails, original drafts bearing David's signature, and even an old audio recording. In it, Carter could be heard discussing with colleagues how to get rid of David, emphasizing, "We cannot let a black man rise to the front lines of medicine. He should stay in service roles where he belongs." Those words sliced through the room like a blade, tearing away the last layer of pretense. It was not just David. As they dug deeper, the lawyers uncovered an entire system of intellectual theft. Numerous young doctors of color, both black and Latino, had been handled the same way. Their inventions, research papers, and patents were all stripped of their names and relabeled under Carter as the sole genius. The news leaked. The story spread across the hospital like a silent fire. Staff whispered in hallways. Old records were pulled from storage. The glamorous image of the chief medical officer began to collapse. Charlotte knew this truth could no longer be hidden. She had to confront it, and it was finally time for David to step out of the shadows. The hospital boardroom gleamed like a courtroom. Charlotte Hayes sat at the head of the table, a small black box in front of her, a USB drive holding all the evidence. To her left sat her attorney. To her right, an independent medical ethics advisor. William Carter, dressed in his crisp white coat, tried to stay composed, though his hands trembled. Charlotte began, her voice calm but resolute. "We are here for the truth and to protect our patients." The large screen lit up, emails showing author names being changed, original manuscript signed David Miller, a digital editing timeline with Carter's fingerprint data. Then the chilling audio played, exposing the intent to eliminate David and other young doctors of color from research. Carter roared, "Fabricated, you are all being manipulated." The attorney calmly presented more evidence, confirmations from software vendors, server logs, and timestamp lab data. The puzzle pieces clicked into place. Undeniable. Charlotte turned to David. "Do you have anything you would like to say?" David stood up, still in his plain blue scrubs. He said only one sentence. "I do not need anyone to fall. I only want the truth to return to its rightful name." Silence. Then the chair of the ethics committee read the resolution. William Carter would be immediately suspended. The case forwarded to the state medical board. An independent investigation launched. in civil charges filed for intellectual property theft. The board members raised their hands one by one, not a single vote opposed. Carter collapsed into his chair, pale and defeated, his genius legacy shattered like glass. Charlotte stood. Hayes Hospital must be led by merit and integrity. She looked at David. Starting today, you are the director of the Cardiovascular Research Center, the role that should have been yours 7 years ago. Applause broke out, not loud, but steady and heartfelt. Former colleagues who once laughed now lowered their eyes. A young doctor nodded slightly, a late apology in silence. Upstairs, Charlotte's daughter slept peacefully, the monitor's rhythm steady, like a new heartbeat for the hospital itself. David's blue uniform moved quietly through the hall, not the garb of a laborer anymore, but the color of a new era, an era where talent would not be silenced by prejudice. And in that moment, the door opened. What followed would not just restore dignity, but challenge and change the system itself. 6 months later, Hayes Hospital looked completely transformed. Under David Miller's leadership, the Cardiovascular Research Center continually published groundbreaking work. More importantly, a new scholarship program was launched, called The Open Door, dedicated to medical students of color and marginalized communities, those who had long been blocked from the gates of knowledge. On the day the new research building was inaugurated, its bright sign bore the engraved name, Mary Miller Cardiovascular Institute, named after David's mother, a Black woman who had worked her whole life as a janitor to raise her son and support his dream of becoming a doctor. During the ceremony, Charlotte Hayes stepped onto the stage, her voice carried across the room. The day David walked into the operating room as a disregarded nurse, I saw something in his eyes. Now the world sees it too. The audience rose in applause. Many young Black students in the crowd wept as they heard the story, for they saw themselves in that man in the blue uniform who once had the door slammed in his face. David stepped up to speak. He did not say much, only left behind one message. This victory is not just mine. It is for everyone who was ever denied a chance because of their skin color, their background, or because they did not belong to the powerful. The truth will never stay buried forever. The camera panned across the radiant faces. The new generation was being inspired, ready to rise, ready to make change. And before the screen faded to black, one final line appeared. Subscribe to help spread more stories that turn injustice into the power to transform an entire system.